Hi, this is Miss Jaffe again today for our read out loud of Love That Dog by Sharon Creech. And sitting next to me here is not a dog, but is my cat, Duke. And he'll jump down as soon as he hears me start talking because he's not quite sure about all of this going on at his house. Doesn't like dogs very much. Okay. So we have already done part 1 and part 2. So just as a recap, in part 1 of Love That Dog, we met the main character who is a student, and his name is Jack. And Jack is in Miss Stretchberry's class, and he has this writing assignment to do this writing journal. And the writing journal is about poetry, which Jack does not like. Each of these entries is started with the date because it is a journal. So there we had started with September 13th. And Jack, he hung tough, and his teacher, Miss Stretchberry, started sharing poems with the class. And as Miss Stretchberry was doing that, Jack started to see that there were some poems that he did like and made him think. And he started thinking about something that was a big emotion for him that he didn't really want to share just yet. But as Miss Stretchberry was sharing the poems, there was one that Jack liked more than the rest. And I'm going to read you that one. That was a poem by Mr. Walter Dean Myers. And we saw at the very beginning in part 1, before part 1 actually, in the dedication, that there was a special thanks in this book to Mr. Walter Dean Myers, who is a poet. So I am going to read this poem here, Love That Boy. And there we go, that's a little bit better. This is only the first stanza, the first verse of this poem. It's much longer. And if you want to read the rest of it, you'll have to take a look for that in the library or on the internet. Okay. Love That Boy by Walter Dean Myers. Love that boy like a rabbit loves to run. I said, I love that boy like a rabbit loves to run. Love to call him in the morning. Love to call him, hey there, son. In part 2, as Jack was learning more about poems and trying them out himself, his teacher gave an assignment for the students to write to an author. And of course, Jack wrote to Walter Dean Myers asking if he would like to come and visit the school. And then he was awfully disappointed because, well, it could take a long time for the letter to get to the author from the publishing company. But along the way, Jack started being more interested in writing the poems himself. And he started writing about his dog Sky. And in part 2, we did get the information that unfortunately Sky was hit by a blue car that was speeding down their road, and he did die. And that was really sad. But as Jack had started writing more about Sky as a good way to remember him, those bigger emotions started to feel better to him, and he had more understanding about losing his dog, Sky. I'm going to start now with part 3. Love That Dog by Sharon Creech. May 21. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. That is the best news ever. I can't believe it. Mr. Walter Dean Myers is really, really, really coming to our school. He is coming to our city anyway to see his old buddy, and he would be honored to visit our clean school and meet the mostly nice kids who like his poems. We sure are lucky that his old buddy lives in our town. Wow. May 28th. Excuse me, a little cough there. May 28th. The bulletin board looks like it's blooming words with everybody's poems up there on all those colored sheets of paper, yellow, blue, pink, and red, green. And the bookcase looks like it's sprouting books, all of them by Mr. Walter Dean Myers, lined up, looking back at us, waiting for Mr. Walter Dean Myers himself to come to our school, right into our classroom. Wow. May 29. I can't wait. I can't sleep. Are you sure you hid my poem that was inspired by Mr. Walter Dean Myers? I don't want to do anything to upset him. I'll show you this page. June 1, Mr. Walter Dean Myers Day. I never in my whole life ever heard anybody who could talk like that, Mr. Walter Dean Myers. All of my blood in my veins was bubbling, and all of the thoughts in my head were buzzing, and I wanted to keep Mr. Walter Dean Myers at our school forever. June 6th. Dear Mr. Walter Dean Myers, thank you 100 million times for leaving your work and your family and your things people have to do to come and visit us in our school, in our class. We hope you liked your visit. We think maybe you did because you were smiling all over the place. And when you read your poems, you had the best voice. Low and deep and friendly and warm, like it was reaching out and wrapping us all up in a big squeeze. And when you laughed, you had the best laugh I've ever heard in my life. Like it was coming from way down deep and bubbling up and rolling and tumbling out into the air. We hope we didn't ask you too many questions. But we thank you for answering every single one, and especially for saying that you would be flattered if someone used some of your words, and especially if they added a note that they were inspired by Walter D. Myers. And it was nice of you to read all our poems on the bulletin board. And I hope it didn't make you too sad when you read the one about my dog Sky getting smushed in the road. And I think you liked the brownies too, right? Thank you for coming to see us, Mr. Walter Dean Myers. Inside this envelope is a poem using some of your words. I wrote it. It was inspired by you, Mr. Walter Dean Myers, from your number one fan, Jack. Let me show you this. This will be our last page. Love That Dog, inspired by Walter Dean Myers, by Jack. Love that dog, like a bird loves to fly. I said, I love that dog, like a bird loves to fly. Love to call him in the morning. Love to call him, hey there, Sky. And with that, we will end our read alouds. And thank you so much for being wonderful listeners. I hope you enjoyed. Bye bye.